This is Chicken Ball. Come at us, bro.
Welcome back to the Chicken Ball Pod, Tottenham Hotspur's worst podcast on the radio. I'm Andrew, your host this week, joined by a full crew of Mort, Scott, Ryan. Guys, let me see if I can wrap this up here. So Spurs drew 2-2 with Everton on Friday. Looked like shit doing it, but result is a result, wasted anyways. Let's see. Then there was the announcement of the Super League yesterday afternoon, which Spurs are a part of, which has enraged millions, including fans of any of the clubs who are in this Super League. Oh, and as of about 6:30 this morning that I found out, Jose Mourinho was sacked 6 days before we go to our first domestic final in 6 years. Did I miss anything beyond that?
Yes, they also fucking suck.
Yeah, well, there's that.
Yeah,
we're past that though. We stopped discussing that a while ago.
Okay. I was confused. Yeah.
Yeah. We I think we had planned about talking about the Super League, but that kind of seems inconsequential now. So I don't even know who I have a preference to start with. So Scott. I'm just going to call you out randomly here. Let's start with Jose Mourinho sacking. Everybody knows this pod has been fairly pro Mourinho, more so. Less pro Mourinho, I'd say, and just more pro let's solve the actual problem at the club. What are your thoughts, or what did you think when you saw this bombshell drop today?
I don't know, man. I still think I'm trying to figure that out. I think, as you said, I wanted Mourinho at the club at least till the summer and, probably a season beyond that with a proper backing, no secret. But I've also said I would never be devastated if we sacked Mourinho. Tottenham's Tottenham or whatever. And there was a time where I didn't think very highly of him, right? But he was my manager, and I thought he was the best solution for Tottenham. So in that regard, I, didn't love the news. I didn't agree with it. But I think, like we all talked about a week ago, it was back him or sack him, and I just feel like we're like a week too late on this shit at this point because now we got a cup final in 6 days. So we should have just been men and done it. That sounds sexist. We should have just fucking ripped the Band-Aid off a week ago, right, on this thing, instead of 6 days before a cup final, immediately after, the piece of news that we thought would dominate the headlines for the next probably 6 months. Only took about, as Mort said, 4 or 5 hours for that to prove incorrect. So just a weird decision from the club all around. Probably continues to drive my distaste for Levy and Enoch. And, as I've said, that's a pretty sharp turn from me, as I've, tried to put a stake through people's heart in the past 5 years for talking bad about those two entities. So there's a lot going on right now, but fucking, I don't know, man. Tottenham till I die, I guess, is really all I can say at this point.
Yeah, I guess
else along the way.
We are fairly accustomed to rolling with the punches with this club. So more, I don't know. When I saw this, funny story. I guess not really all that funny, as opposed to it just happened. When I woke up this morning at about 6:30, and I see the messages that come in. Often they're from you guys because you're a few hours ahead of me. But I actually had one from one of my buddies who's a big Arsenal fan, and he was the one that pointed out to me that Spurs had sacked Mourinho. I'm like, huh. Well, I didn't exactly see that coming. Now, to be fair, though, Mort, I don't know how much of the news you've been following Spurs-related recently, because to be fair, I kind of tuned it out to a degree. And I know Alistair Gold had posted some articles around, well, what's the reality of Mourinho not being here in the summer? So maybe I was just not paying enough attention. But did this shock you? Were you just like, yeah, that was coming?
Man, I mean, this season, there's just no shock left, man. I mean, just with everything we've gone through and just the way the season has gone and the amount of unexpected things that have happened, right? If you look at our results and just matches we were supposed to win and we didn't, and matches we weren't supposed to win and we did. So the shock value is gone. I mean, I still think this is a mistake, right? I mean, I've been saying this whole time, back him or sack him, but I was hoping we'd back him. I did not want to sack him because, again, 18 months, global pandemic, you cannot judge one of the greatest managers of all time in 18 months with minimal backing. So I was really hoping he'd get another transfer window, and then we start judging him next season. Fans are back. It's more of a normalization of what we know of football to be. Right now is a very bizarre environment, and for a club like us to make such a bizarre decision, it doesn't make sense to me, right? It seems like somebody woke up and said, "Oh shit, this Super League news is not going well. How can I bury this, or how can I hide this?" And that's what it feels a lot more like that, because shit, man, Jose Mourinho just got fired and people really aren't talking about it. People are talking about the Super League. So this feels more like that to me than firing a manager who's 5 points off of Champions League with a trophy coming up in a handful of days, right? So, like, why would you fire somebody who's 5 points from Champions League with a trophy coming, 6 days from now, if you weren't trying to, kind of like bury it, right? So like maybe I'm
Yeah.
overthinking it. I'm not a marketing guy or anything, but this feels more like that than a
Damage
competent
control,
decision.
PR spin.
Yeah.
Well, and so
Again, that's
here's
my
the piece.
perspective. I don't know.
Yeah.
So.
Here's the piece to that, sticking with you for a second. People saying, well, you might as well rip off the Band-Aid now. Like, why wait over a Christmas transfer window? And he's going to start not Christmas, summer transfer window. Let him spend, and this is going to drag on for another 12 to 18 months. But on the flip side, why are people not asking, if these same players fail under Pochettino, who are failing now under Mourinho, why would we bring in another manager and then give all the players the benefit of the doubt? Be like, oh yeah, Eric Dyer, Dele Alli, Harry Winks, these guys, they're actually good players, but it was both managers' faults. I mean, how is that better?
Well, I think I'm gonna kind of steal a little bit from Rui, from our like from our messaging thread. It's, let's just take a pragmatic look at what's going on. Okay, you have a team that's been doing poorly for a very long time. It's been soulless for a long time. And we've taken this route and it's continued with our club. Okay, so let's stay with me, right? We have now brought in one of the most winningest managers of all time, who's won everywhere he has gone, and with all of that rot, we are 5 points off Champions League with a final, our first final in 6 years, and a chance to win our first trophy in 13 years. So when you look at this pragmatically, would you fire that person? No, you fucking wouldn't. It doesn't make sense. And to your point, Andrew, and I really want to get Ryan's perspective on it, because I really appreciate and respect it, is why are we not looking at everything else that's going on around it, like a global pandemic, like shitty fucking players, like the fact that our owner won't spend the money to get the players that we all know we need to like get this going. I think we have found a rally cry, and I think hopefully Ryan talks about his perspective on why Jose got fired from United, because I think that's really funny. But if it seems like we have a rally cry, and the rally cry is fire Jose, and suddenly we all feel better. I don't feel better because I'm not a fucking fuck goose, because I know that this is not going to change anything. So I don't know, Ryan, I don't want to take a thunder, man, but I really love your perspective on this.
Yeah, just around the sacking, I think I kind of echo you and Scott's statements. I think it's a weird time. Definitely 6 days before final, obviously. It makes no sense. It being around, the news with the ESL, the European Super League. I mean, I feel like that had to be one of the disagreements that Levy and Mourinho had. There's been some rumors out there that he had a meeting with Levy last night, and he disagreed on the European Super League, and then next day he gets fired. So couple that with the team's form, I would say probably I think I saw something on Twitter, it was like from match day 20 to match day 32, we've been 18th in the form table. I believe it's two wins from the 12, and there's been seven losses.
Ryan, I'm just curious. I'd seen that same thing about the Super League. Now, Alistair Gold came out and said that was wide of the mark. I think so we're all speculating. I mean, have you heard from any kind of credible sources as to any potential disagreement there? I mean, certainly it's been like Mort said, it's been a rallying cry in a couple of different ways. But how much credibility do you give to the idea that there was disagreement between Mourinho and Levy, and that's what was a contributing factor in his sacking, in your opinion?
Well, I think it's twofold. So I think obviously the results are the more heavier side, and I think there may have. I mean, I haven't seen any really credible sources that have said that. I know Alistair Gold came out and said that that's not the reason why they sacked him. I totally understand that, but it could be part of the reason as well. So the main reason could be the results, but also the disagreement with the European Super League. And then I also really think that, like I said in the group chat, I think Nagelsmann is a guy that they really want. They sounded him out right before we hired Mourinho, and obviously Flick notifying Bayern that he does not want to be there next year, and hearing that Bayern also wants to hire Nagelsmann. I think that kind of exacerbated the the firing of Mourinho. They want to get ahead of the curve here. I think that's one thing that we have to give Levy some credit on. He's always ahead of the curve on some things, and we just have to put faith in him that he has something up his sleeve, because if you look at the potential managers that are being rumored to us, it is not a great list. And that's why I'm more open to somebody like Nagelsmann, who's younger, who has these ideas. He has Champions League experience. I'm more open to that than some of the managers that we're seeing rumored to us, like Eddie Howe, Scott Parker, etc. So I think everybody here, I think all of us here, we're okay with riding out with Mourinho to see where it would go. It looked bleak though. Let's be honest. Sunday we were going to be in for a long match. I think everybody here could agree. I think Levy's trying to get some kind of new manager bounce. I don't know if he's going to get it from Ryan Mason, but I think that's what he's looking for here. Obviously we have a match right before the League Cup final, and he'll be looking for a little bit of bounce from the players. I think if you look at some of the reports that the Athletic put out, that other Sky Sports, they love to write articles on Mourinho, but it's a constant trend that follows Mourinho. It's the alienating of players. It's the toxic environment. It's the things.
You know what else was surprising though, Ryan, and I'd seen this in the Athletic, was apparently Sacramento wasn't any more popular than Mourinho was, and so that to me stood out, right? Like, you assume a young guy who can relate more to the players as as more of a peer than a boss. That surprised me. You see him intense on the sidelines, but I mean, that's what most coaches do. So I mean, that to me, I don't know how much further we can go with that, but that to me surprised me that was this ongoing feeling that it wasn't even just Mourinho, it was the entire coaching crew. I assume that Ledley King's not part of that because he wasn't brought in by Mourinho specifically, but the Sacramento piece was surprising because he was supposed to be an up and coming young manager with a lot to prove.
Yeah, I do remember that he did write something to Mourinho while he was in school in Wales. I believe when he was at Chelsea, he wrote some kind of piece to Mourinho as part of his studies. Why
was Sacramento in Wales?
He went to Wales University. So
okay, fair enough.
Yeah, that's where he got, I think, his sports management degree.
Right.
So he's got an extensive background, and a good background. And it was shocking to me as well, but not too much of a surprise because he is the one that is communicating the tactics for most part. He's the one that's setting up training and things like that. So, and you can just tell he's loyal to Mourinho. He loves Mourinho. He looks up to him. So he's probably, if he's going to be alienating Delhi, then Sacramento's probably going to fall in line there. So,
yeah, fair enough. Scott, Ryan touched on it then, just around, the caretaker manager is Ryan Mason, 29 years old, former, fairly mediocre player. I'm not criticizing the person that he is, but, fairly average Premier League career before a horrific injury, obviously, that ended his career early. Doesn't have a whole lot of management experience. I believe he was in charge of, player development or personnel or something. So I don't know. I mean, the whole thing is weird to me. I don't know if you have any thought on, I know it's a caretaker role and what do you expect from it, but a new manager bump from Ryan Mason seems really strange. Like, I ironically tweeted on or sarcastically tweeted on Twitter earlier, how did that go over with Harry Kane? Hey, here's some dude who's two years older than you, has next to no management experience, used to play with you, and now he's your boss until the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think, we can have fun and say that Kane and Mason are such good buddies, which we know they are, right? That maybe the two of them can just lock arms and get this thing figured out together. That's the romantic, Disneyland fucking story behind this. But I'll just say it, man. And damn it, you had to ask me this question, but I'll say it, man. I love that man to death, but there's no way this happens if the club wasn't so fractured at the moment. I think it's the total stunt to get fans hyped up about something and maybe repair some of that current fracture amongst the fan base. Right. Ryan Mason's, we love the dude, and what he went through, I think, really etched him into the heart of Tottenham fans. And, it's not Mason's fault, and he may have an awesome opportunity in front of him that, he might not even be deserving of, but it's the total move by Levy, in my opinion. And that's why we see Chris Powell as his co-caretaker, right? Chris Powell, who's, I think he's with our U18s right now. I'm not quite sure, but he's somewhere in the ranks at Tottenham. And, we obviously see the need for a co-caretaker, and that's just kind of a weird deal in itself, right? So there's a lot more, I think, than just, a coaching decision that goes behind this. my only hope, like I said, is that he does have a relationship with some key guys who are leaders in the squad and a good one. And I don't know, man, but it's just I I understand the situation, but there's no way this puts us in a better position to go and win 6 days from now. And I don't even care about Southampton anymore. If we get top four, then talk to me about Ryan Mason, right? Damn, but
Sure.
6 days from now matters.
How are you gonna say? How are you gonna say you don't? How are you gonna say you don't care about Southampton? We got fucking 7 matches left, man. Again, we're 5
I
points
care
from
about
fourth.
Southampton, man. I'm saying I don't have any hope for the Premier League at this point. And right now, I have a match in 6 days that I am really excited about, man. So we'll see what happens. But of course I care. I mean, we can still get top 4. There's just so much going on right now that, you know, maybe I said that poorly, but I don't have a lot of hope for the Premier League at this point.
Now, Mort, I'm just wondering, am I overreacting by thinking, that's what I thought this morning, like this team just has no plan. Like, I'm not saying we don't have a business plan, because nobody would try and tell you that Daniel Levy is not a good businessman. Like, he clearly has built, Tottenham into a mega club. The fact that we're even in this Super League, we haven't gotten to that yet. But the fact that we're in this league, despite, not even being close to one of the best teams in Europe at this point in time, clearly a big piece of that is the amount of revenue that Tottenham can bring in once COVID is over, with the NFL and concerts and boxing and MMA, not to mention football. But beyond that, like, this feels like a company that is just badly run. And it feels like, yeah, you've got, a CEO at the top who's good with the money. He makes sure that billable hours are up and all that sort of stuff, but it doesn't seem like there's a staffing plan. It doesn't seem like there's anybody there who's actually taking care of the players, the squad, and the staff. And this squad is just rotted, and it feels like we're just going nowhere, but we're doing it in a circle. So I guess we're going nowhere, but we're going in a circle. Like, is that an overreaction?
No, I mean, I don't think it's an overreaction. I think that's actually I think that's pretty spot on. It's just we don't have a plan. And I think that Jose firing shows you that. Like, Ryan Mason is going to lead us into an opportunity to win a trophy for the first time in 13 years. That's not a fucking plan. At least when we fired Pochettino, we had a plan. We went out and hired Jose Mourinho. So I agree with you. It almost seems like we've just called the season in and said, all right, let's just fucking see this thing through and get to May 15th and get the hell out of here, right? Like, that's what this is feeling like. And I mean, I don't know why. And I mean, even, like Scotty's tongue-in-cheek comment, I think that a lot of our fans have even kind of checked out for the season, but there's a lot still left to play for. We're 5 points out of Champions League with 6. There's 30 points left. 30, fuck. There's 18 points left, and we're 5 points out. And we've got a 3-pointer coming up against Southampton. That would mean we'd be 2 points out if anybody above us. There's a lot still left to play for. And I think that even though we have no plan, we can't just call this one in. We have to keep playing, whether it's Ryan Mason or Jose Mourinho, it doesn't matter. It's still Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, and Tottenham Hotspur Football Club has a lot left to play for this season. So I don't think it's an overreaction, Andrew. I think you're right. We don't have a plan, but I don't even think that fucking matters. We still have a lot to play for. And that's why everyone's got to rally behind that. And listen, I believe in the new manager bump. Like, I think that's a real thing. And if we get remember when Jose came in, we had a 9-match bump, right? I think we had the best form in the league for the first 9 matches. If we can go on a good run over the next 7, sign me up. I don't care who the fuck it is. I don't care if it's Ryan Mason. I don't care if they bring fucking Timmy Sherwood back. Give me that 7-match bump. That's all I need. Let me go out and get 15 points out of my next 6 games, and let me go win the League Cup. Take that shit all day, man. Let's go,
dude. Yeah, honestly, I think I'm gonna go and do something that is everything against this podcast and say my B. You're right a little bit, and I don't love my comment, man, because I'm, of course, like extremely invested in what's left to play for, and you're exactly right. A manager bump might actually secure some points that we wouldn't have gotten and see top 4 out. And that's not me saying we should have sacked Mourinho. I think there's a lot more than just the next 7 games that go into that decision, or that opinion. But yeah, you're damn right, man. There's a lot to play for. And again, like I said, it's a bit of like a Disneyland fairy tale, feel good bit of speculation for me. But I do think there is a chance that Mason locks arms with some of the guys that are important at the squad that he came up with, like a Harry Kane. And get something done, man. So we'll see. And again, the coolest part, I shouldn't say again because we haven't brought it up yet, but one thing that is nice for Ryan Mason is that Carabao Cup final is a total free hit for him. Like, no one gives a shit if he doesn't beat City in that game, right? But if he does, fucking legend, man. Like, 5 days into his tenure, he gets a trophy after 13 years. Like,
Yeah.
It could be a really cool thing, man. So I'm happy for that fucking guy. I love Ryan Mason, man. I'm like scrambling. I can't find my Mason kit anywhere. I've moved like 35 times in the past 3 years. So who knows where that thing is, man. But I'm scrambling to get a Mason jersey in time for Sunday. We'll see.
That's amazing. Ryan, just pivoting topics here, because that was obviously the big topic of, the last like 6 hours. I mean, just before that, there was some other news. So what the hell is the Super League?
We made it to the top, baby.
Yeah.
I think it's really just the money league, right? Pretty much your top performers in revenue probably the last 2-3 seasons. And obviously, you see the money that's involved. I think during COVID times, I think it's going to bail a lot of these clubs out. I believe they're getting 3.5 billion from what I've seen. And I believe being a founding member, they're getting a bonus on top of that, which is like 2 to 300 million on top of that for being a founding club. So that's a lot of money to turn down. And I'm not agreeing with it. And I'm not saying that I'm gonna enjoy watching it. And I'll probably still watch it if it does happen. But I just see it. I see it. It's tough, man. Like it
Well,
sucks.
and Ryan, when I first started reading about it, again, like I don't know, I don't know if I just felt apathetic yesterday because I saw it. Like even one of my buddies in my other chat, who's a Liverpool fan, he's like, "Why is this group not going off? Like this is really big news." And I started digging in a little bit more because I figured, oh, this just kind of takes over the Champions League, but it goes beyond that. Like they're saying, they won't be able to play in the domestic leagues. The players won't be able to play for their national teams, and you've got world leaders coming out and speaking out against it, right? So like this obviously has some pretty big knock-on effects.
Yeah, and I think I read not too long ago that Woodward, the Glazers, and I believe it's JP Morgan are pretty much spearheading the whole thing. So, it's like I said, it sucks because, like you said, it's kind of taking the value of qualifying for Champions League, through the league. It's taken that sporting merit out of it. That whole qualification process. The reason why we're literally talking about top 4 here, and that's to me why also sacking Mourinho makes no sense either if we're really going to join the Super League, right? Because that doesn't mean there's a deep underlying issue going on, clearly. Because if we're in a Super League for next year, there shouldn't be any reason to sack Mourinho then. We have nothing to qualify for. We're going to get into the Super League next year. So to me, like I said, it sucks. There's no qualification process. You're just guaranteed entry every year. And, the magic of Champions League is playing, like a Man City. Obviously we see them domestically, but seeing them in the Champions League a couple of years ago, playing them twice, those 2 magical games, opening game at White Hart Lane, 1-0, Sun scores, South Stand's going crazy. The 4-3 loss that we had, that was craziest loss ever. Those are special moments, right? And, it's not going to be special when we're playing each other 4 times. I believe it's 4 times in a season, in a European Super League season. So it takes the magic out of it. And I think Ian Wright, former Arsenal legend, he had a nice little video that was talking about it. I think he said he played AC Milan twice in his whole career, and Arsenal was a team that went to the Champions League quite a bit when it first formed. But he was like, I'll never forget those 2 matches. It was special. It was exclusive. There's nothing special about a player playing AC Milan 4 times every single season.
Well, it reminds me, like I used to be really into UFC, but that was when there was like a UFC once every like 3 months. That was one every weekend, right? Like, and it's completely watered down. And honestly, like the Super League feels like an Audi Cup. And don't get me wrong, nothing is as prestigious as the Audi Cup. But that being said, it kind of feels like a summer tournament that like teams just get invited to because they will get TV coverage and they are popular and they sell jerseys and they've been there for a long time. Like, that's what this does feel like. And you can tell why, people are upset. And it's funny because people are taking shots being like, oh, Spurs haven't won since 1961. It's like, but we didn't ask for this, right? Like, we didn't want to be into this. We didn't ask for it. Like, it is what it is. And it's, again, who knows where this is going to go? Like, there's so much money. It seems like it's almost too big to fail. It's really hard to see, FIFA not allowing players to play for their national sides and that sort of thing. But I mean, we'll see now. Like, it didn't come out of nowhere. Like, it's obviously been on the table for a while, but the announcement kind of seemed like it came out of nowhere. But it's, I don't know, guys, but it's kind of like my head's kind of spinning with all this news. Like, where Mourinho's fired, but we're in the Super League. I don't really know where to go from here other than like looking at some of the coaches. You mentioned a couple of you guys have said, Nagelsmann's been mentioned. We've had, like I said last week, Steven Gerrard. I saw his name on the list somehow. Graham Potter, Scott Parker, and like you said, Ryan, like there's not a lot of names here that are particularly exciting. So, maybe just to end off here and keep things short, Mort, just to end, with you here, your commentary.
Really
what
quick,
do you expect from? Yeah,
hey, sorry to cut you off, but so Fabrizio Romano's tweeting like as we speak. Thought this was a very interesting quote on the Super League before we wrap on it. And this is Perez from Real Madrid, who obviously spearheaded this, right, or was part of that group that did. He said it will become like a pyramid because we big clubs will have, and Romano tweeted this in the past looks like 9 minutes ago, so while we've been recording, but it'll become like a pyramid because we big clubs will have more money and we'll be able to invest it by buying players. If the clubs, and he's talking about smaller clubs that like feed, right? If the clubs lose their money as it's happening, the whole football system crashes as with the Champions League. And then he goes on to talk about COVID and things like that. And there's articles back in like 2017, 18, discussing this already happening. And I've got a buddy, big Juventus fan, who says that Juventus has heard Agnelli talking about these things since about the same time, right? And he spearheaded it as well. So I know Perez is full of shit, but if you look at, I see some of what I'm hearing here, because if you do look at the fact that Neymar was sold for $240 million and like shit's getting crazy, I think football was already going in a really poor direction, especially with the cities, the PSGs types, whatever, Now, COVID happens, right? And his quote goes into COVID. And essentially, like, COVID exacerbated this because literally, and we've already talked about how teams below the Premier League are on the verge of potentially crashing because of COVID. So, like, we're conveniently forgetting about all of that here, too.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm a proponent of the European Super League. I have no clue how I feel because I don't even have any information to make decisions there, I feel like, yet. But these quotes do add up to some degree. I mean, am I full of shit or does logic track here?
Yeah, it's a fair point. I mean, and you're right. I mean, with COVID and the way that things were going and just the outrageous, player sales and that sort of thing. Like, I remember a couple of years back going to a Whitecaps game, and I had tickets to a thing before where there was, a couple of marketers, one from the MLS, one from the Whitecaps, and another one, I think, actually from the MLS, or two from the MLS. And, somebody put their hand up and they say, well, how do you compete, based on the fact the product is so much worse than the Premier League and the other European leagues? And the guy said, he's like, honestly, they come to me to learn how to market, with player sales being what they are and revenue sources not being what they'd like to be. It's the kind of the NFL model, the profit sharing models that actually are sustainable, because every team in the NFL makes money. That's sure not the case in world football. So yeah, I mean, Scott, that's a super interesting point to end off on. I think, we'll just do a little bit of speculating because that's what we do on this show. So, Ryan, I'll start with you. Who do you expect to be in charge, in August when the new season kicks off?
Wow, really put me on the spot. I'm just gonna say Nagelsmann. I'm not gonna say, I love it or hate it. Obviously gonna support him, but I just feel like Levy want to go through all this trouble. He obviously loved Mourinho. Always had that dream of him managing Tottenham, and the fact that we sounded him out before we hired Mourinho, it just makes all the sense in the world. And I forgot who, it was another credible source that came out and said that Levy is looking for a manager that's going to provide attacking football, but also have experience bringing up, youth through the ranks. So, Nagelsmann hits all the nails on the head there. So that's who I think he's going to go for. He wouldn't. I don't think he would fire Mourinho at this time. Given that last week, given the last week, Flick gave his notice to Bayern, and Nagelsmann obviously became the favorite there. I just feel like all the ducks are lining in a row for him to come to Tottenham.
What about you, Mort? Any indications? Any hallucinations?
I have no fucking idea, man. Like, I don't read the fucking tea leaves like Ryan does, right? So I'm not, I don't have any fucking, like Portuguese mafia connections like my boy Ryan does. So I don't know, man. I don't care. I don't care because my concern is still the fucking players, man. You can bring in Nagelsmann all you want. I'm more concerned about our transfer window. Which one of these shitheads are we going to get rid of, and who are we going to bring in to help stabilize this club? And I am more excited about this Southampton match than I have been in a Tottenham match for a very long time, because I want to know what the reaction is. Mm-hmm. I want to know if I was wrong. Mm-hmm. We've been harping on how shit these players have been. We've been watching them miss 5-yard passes. We've been watching them miss assignments. We've watched them be lazy on the fucking pitch. I want to know what happens Wednesday. Mm-hmm. I want to know if did they truly give up on Jose the way they gave up on Pochettino, or they gave up on Poch. Jose didn't know how to use them, and Ryan, the savior Mason, figures out how to properly deploy our fucking shit defense to not concede 17 goals against Southampton. We know we beat Southampton 5-2. They're gonna be out for blood, man. They're coming right after us. There's no fear in them of us. Danny Ings is gonna want to score a fucking hat trick against Harry Kane. So I want to know. So I don't know who's gonna be Andrew. I don't give a shit, because we could hire. We could. I mean, listen. Who do I want? I want Allegri. Why? Because I think he's a phenomenal manager. He knows what the fuck he's doing. He's won at major levels. He has experience. He knows how to get his players going, and players will respect him. He's Mourinho-esque without being a dickhead. So that's who I want, but I don't care who it's going to be. Get me to the end of the transfer window, and then I'll tell you how I feel.
I will add this, though. I want to add this, though. Think about our attacking players that have kind of been pushed aside by Mourinho the last couple months. You look at Bergwijn, Dele, and Bale. Bale in recent weeks, for whatever reason. You look at those three players right there. If they hit form under Mason, those are three. I want to say Bergwijn, but Bale and Dele are difference makers. Bergwijn can be. I think we've seen him, more so last year than this year. We've seen shades of him. Yeah, we've seen shades of him being that game changer for us. So that's three players right there that could really use a boost. And like Mort was saying, that new manager balance could really push us forward.
Yeah. Well, Scott, to end off on you, slightly different question then. So with that new manager, whether it's not going to be Ryan Mason, but he's there for now. Is this the end of Son and or Kane based on the fact we're starting over again?
I felt that way up until I found out about the European Super League, so I don't know anymore, man. I mean,
you found out in reverse, because we all found out, the Super League and then Mourinho, but you actually went backwards.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I was banging on about this Super League last night with a bunch of people, and it did make me probably less reactive to the Mourinho news in relation to Kane's future. I don't know, man. It's interesting. I mean, I don't know if he would want to be part of another rebuild, but again, with the fabric of football just completely up in the air, we'll see. You guys see all these sorry links too? Have we talked about him yet?
Yeah, we saw. We haven't, but yeah, we saw those links as well. I mean, I definitely appreciate a guy smoking on the sideline.
Yeah, we'll see, man. It's interesting.
I mean, I think I have the answer. I mean, clearly, if Mourinho didn't work out, Poch is going to be available, I think, this summer. I think that they're going to bottle the French league. They're going to lose the Champions League. He's going to be looking for a job, and who better to fix a mess that he helped to start than Mauricio Pochettino? Get in there, get the gang back together, and let's see what happens. Ride or die with Mauricio Pochettino. He still has the jacket, and his barbecue says Odere Fisser. So I think he's right in line. Anyways, I'm your host Andrew this week. For Mort, for Ryan, for Scott. I mean, that's a lot of news in half an hour, guys. I don't know how it's going to get more dramatic than that, but we'll see. Come Southampton this week. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.